DXY races to battle at the bottom of this multi-year, absolutely extreme ascending, broadening wedgie pattern. All eyes are on the dollar, as this combined with the CPI report in just days sets the tone for either the biggest dumpy of our lifetime or the biggest pumpy since the invention of inflatable trousers themselves. But as the world watches CZ of Binance and Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX battle it out on Twitter, why is nobody talking about what they would look like as women? Absolutely gigantic, as this week we continue the trend that we've been watching for the past 2 weeks as the DXY has continued to set lower lows and right now is in its biggest danger of literally the past 2 years. This is gargantuan. What is the DXY doing? How will the CPI report affect the crypto prices? And are we about to see potentially the biggest fake out, the biggest trap of the century in just days? So you guys should make sure to subscribe, turn on these absolute time-sensitive alerts, and without any further ado, let's just jump in to this video. As right now, the SPX still currently sits below one of its most key moving averages on this 10-day chart. However, there are quite a few things that are going to impact this chart, Bitcoin's chart, the entire crypto market cap, and the DXY this week. And namely, let's let the cat out of the bag. As my neighbor Brenda, the neighborhood cougar, used to say, let's let the juice loose. CZ and Sam Bankman-Fried are obviously having a little bit of a Twitter battle, and I'm not going to be going over that because if you go on Reddit, if you go on Twitter, if you go on YouTube, it's the only thing people are talking about. Frankly, I'm exhausted hearing about it, but it absolutely can affect the price. However, again, I think that more so the CPI report is above and beyond, no holds bar, hands down, the biggest thing that will impact price this week. And simply put, it matters more than anything else happening right now. Much more important than the FOMC meetings because this is where the FOMC draws their predictions, their route of how they're going to tame inflation. Pretty much, as I said, nothing new came out of that new FOMC meeting. They did exactly what was predicted, 75 basis point hikes. That everyone, it was like 90+% chance we were going to get that. And it was pretty boring, right? They don't know anything else that you don't know, pretty much, right? They were late on inflation by over 6 months with interest rates, everything. In my opinion, FOMC meetings are kind of boring. Where the real excitement is the CPI prints, because that is factual data, even if it's not completely correct, because inflation is probably even higher than stated. That is where they draw their conclusions on how they're going to handle the FOMC meetings, and it's pretty much the most important thing driving all markets right now. And with that being said, let's take a look here. So funding rates hitting an absolute very 6-month high right here. In a warning signal to bulls and particularly late longs, Bitcoin funding rates are surging. So this is important to be watching here. They're highest in about 6 months. Funding rates are a mechanism used in perpetual contracts to keep their price close to the Bitcoin spot price. Highly positive funding rates suggest the market expects Bitcoin to go higher, and traders are paying for a privilege to increase their long positions or get long positions on Bitcoin. And this can be bad as price decrease ends up liquidating a lot of those late long positions, right? So it's not guaranteed to be bad. However, it could be, considering I think a lot of people might be getting a little bullish at this point. At this moment, funding rates are very high. Traders are betting on high prices and are willing to pay a serious amount of interest. Martin explained alongside Crypto Quant, it doesn't have to be bearish per se, but when price starts to move against them, they might be forced to get out of their positions or it'll be liquidated. So that is one thing we have to be watching. And again, I personally believe the only thing that matters is the CPI. It all comes down to the CPI. And take advantage of over $16,000 in trading bonuses below. Right now, if you click on my BitGet link below, put in an email, create a password. It takes 20 seconds. You receive 50 free USDT simply for signing up. Only the first 50 people get that. And then afterwards, it's 15. So 50 for the first 50 people, and then 15 USDT for everyone after. Basically, estimates are putting year-on-year inflation right now at about 7.9%, surveyed by Bloomberg, economists that are surveyed. And anything lower than that, than the expected CPI readout in just a few days, would be very good for the crypto space. And let's zoom out for a second. The last 3, 4, 5 months, inflation has come back worse every single time, basically, and that's why we keep dumping. So here we are. This is another chance to see, is the CPI going to be higher, or are we actually seeing the effects of these interest rate hikes? That is basically it, right? It could still take months before we see the results, but if we actually see some results in just a few days, and we see that, then you have no idea how bullish this could get. Now, again, as I just said, this is still way too early. We have no idea. We have to wait for the CPI report. But this is by far the most exciting point of every single month. And if we take a look at Bitcoin's chart here, what is going on? So the SPX on the one-day chart is now, again, trying to break above this 21-day moving average. Very good here. So this is interesting. Good price action so far. Bitcoin itself is still right under 21,000. Polygon is still, I mean, as I'm sure many of you guys know, Polygon is in my top 3 biggest bags. Polygon, Matic, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. And I've been saying this for months. They've been my 3 biggest bags for almost a year now. Bitcoin and Ethereum have been my biggest bags for quite a long time, but Matic became my 3rd biggest bag about a year ago. Not that it matters. However, it's just a project that I'm very bullish on. I don't talk about it too much because I don't really like to talk about much aside from just Bitcoin on the channel. However, Polygon looking good. Ethereum actually looking decent as well. And Bitcoin honestly not looking that bad. If we look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart as well, gigantic descending broadening wedgie, the exact opposite of what we're seeing on the DXY, which I think is very interesting here, right? The pattern typically can break out bullish. DXY, this pattern typically can break out bearish. But the DXY has a lot of other factors going with it. But specifically, guys, if we take a look with the DXY, as we've been talking about for months now, we're probably going to be touching the bottom of this channel right here, around 109.5. We're not even that far right now. In fact, this could happen tomorrow. It could happen right now. It could happen very, very quick. In fact, if we got a candle as big as the one we got on the 4th, we would be below it. So we're within a single day of price action to where we could, breach below this gigantic pattern here that we have been in the entire year, and we've been on an uptrend with basically only higher lows since May of 2021. And if we break below here, again, we've already set our first semi-significant lower lows here. Breaking below 109, and if we break below this 107.5, more significant lower lows, which just indicates potential dumpy downtrend for the DXY. And here's the bigger thing. The DXY does not have to dump for Bitcoin to start pumping and the stock market to start pumping. It doesn't have to dump. It just can't pump. So if the DXY dumps or goes sideways, that can be very bullish for crypto. And we've just gone up for the last year on the DXY. So overwhelmingly, I think the odds are favoring the fact that sideways or dumpy is imminent, is going to be a longer term trend sooner than later. And that ultimately is bullish for the crypto space. We're already seeing the tide start to turn a little bit in terms of people's really bearish sentiment. All we did was break above 20K for a couple weeks, or like 1 or 2 weeks, and people are starting to think maybe we won't get to 10K, right? So that's really all it takes. So get in the channel, make sure you're turning this is absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Take advantage of over $16,000 in trading deposits below. Sign up right now with BitGet. Put in your email and create a password. It takes 20 seconds, and you receive 50 free USDT for a limited time. Only the first 50 signups, and after that, everyone else gets 15 free USDT simply for signing up. And without any further ado, that's it for me.